Well, hello everybody. So here we are, the two Southern Susans back at the Piedmont Club, our favorite place to have lunch, and we're so delighted to be here today. And we've just ordered our lunch. Now, what did you order again? Because it sounded divine.
I ordered the chicken meatballs with bacon, and she said it's been flying off the shelves, so I'm looking forward to it.
And I'm going to have food envy because I was good and ordered salmon and seasonal vegetables and green beans, no starch. I'm on a diet. What am I on? Okay, so we started ordering Mediterranean / paleo meals. So at home I'm only getting protein through the week, but then I've been bad on weekends, like Friday night's pizza night. I got to cut that out. That's not working for me. I'm really good all week, and then I'm bad on the weekend. And
well, that's good if you can be good all week. I mean, I'm supposed to be, with my recent little incident, on the Mediterranean diet. So I got.
Do you want to share your incident?
Well, I can. I had a heart incident a month ago and was not a candidate for that because I didn't have any markers, but I think it might show us what stress and genetics are capable of.
So the moral of that story is y'all avoid stress, and we're going to take good care of Susie, and we're going to have as healthy a lunch as we can manage. I have ordered, she ordered half and half sweet tea, and I told them to show the sweet tea to my unsweetened tea. So I think I have a little splash in there. But I'm being as good as I can. I'm trying.
That's great. I'm going to get Susan while we're eating to teach me about the Mediterranean diet, because I've been pretty good so far. I've been pretty good. I'm not eating fried foods. I'm not eating beef. I'm about to turn into a chicken. But
So sadly, we're here at our favorite place to have lunch, but we're both trying to be good, and it's so hard.
But it'll still be good food, and
Yes.
it's cold and rainy outside, and it's so lovely and cozy in here.
Yes, it is. All right, so we will be back shortly with Joy, and or maybe before that. We might think of something to talk to y'all about before she gets here. But when Joy arrives, we'll have an interview with her about the book of the month.
Yes, it's going to be fun.
Hey, y'all, and welcome to this month's Lowcountry Book Club, Two Southern Susans interview with our Book of the Month author, Joy Callaway. We are very excited to have Joy with us today. And the problem with writing things down is that you keep wanting to look at the piece of paper, even if you know what you're going to say. So I'm probably going to deviate from this. This was supposed to help, but I think it's actually hurting.
That's why I don't write, in my presentations, I don't go off notes or a presentation because I get too nervous and I think I'm going to forget something.
I never used, I hardly ever use notes. I didn't used to ever use notes. And then after COVID, I had a little bit of COVID brain, and I felt like I had to have something for the protection of the audience, And so I'm kind of like now, I used to do these without any notes at all. And then I thought I needed a little more structure because I'm bad to go off on tangents.
Oh God, I always use notes. Old English teacher.
So, okay, wait a minute. I'm supposed to tell y'all that in case you just dropped in and you're not familiar with us, that I'm Susan Boyer, and I write seaside Southern mysteries set in the South Carolina Lowcountry, where there's usually sunshine, scandal, and a body or two.
And I'm Susan Zurenda, and I'm the author of Bells for Eli, The Girl from the Red Rose Motel, and I have a new novel coming out in August, and I'm thrilled to be here with my friend and fellow author, Susan.
And we have with us today Joy Callaway, the author of our Book of the Month. And I will not remember this. Please help us welcome Joy, an international best-selling author known for her rich historical fiction and Southern contemporary romances. Before becoming a full-time author, Joy served as a marketing director for a wealth management company. We need to talk to her in depth, don't we? She holds a BA in journalism and public relations from Marshall University, plus a master's in mass communication from the University of South Carolina. Oh, Christina's here with dessert. Yay. Joy now lives in Charlotte with her husband, John, and their children. Ooh. We're so excited to have her here with us. Y'all say hello to Christina. Hello. She's had us before. It's like we came in to set up and she said, oh, it's podcast day. So anyway, welcome, Joy.
Look at that.
So excited to be with you guys. Wish I was eating dessert with you. What do you guys have?
Well, check it out.
Look at this. Now tell us again.
What is it? Is it a caramel? I can't see it because you're
caramel or something. Yeah, I was good for lunch, so I'm being bad for dessert. Susie is too. What you got there again?
I've got espresso,
Ooh.
creme brulee.
Yum. Wow.
Yeah. Okay. So it's your turn to say something.
Mmm. Nice bite of whipped cream in my mouth. Well, now, so this is the last call for those of you who are watching our momentary craziness here. But if you've not read Sing Me Home to Carolina, just bookmark the interview and come back to it to listen, because there, as we always say, will be spoilers.
Oh,
Yes,
and I should mention it's on sale for $1.99 in ebook till the
Whoa.
end of the month.
So if you haven't read, go buy your ebook if you're an ebook reader. Meanwhile, we're going to talk about some things that will be spoilers. So,
Yes, yes. So we're going to chat about the inspiration for the book.
Sorry.
You all grab a glass of tea or a cup of coffee like me, and if you're lucky, something to eat, and we'll,
or maybe some of Helen Sue's
yeah,
blue hooch.
yeah.
Yeah.
Okay. All right. So, welcome, Joy. We are so delighted to have you. To start off, we know that you live in Charlotte now, but tell us, where are you originally from and who are your people?
Well, I'm originally from Charlotte and I live in the house I grew up in. So I always joke around and say I didn't go very far. And I didn't intend to move back into my childhood home, but my husband and my husband's from West Virginia. I met him at Marshall University and he's in banking. So we came back down to Charlotte and we lived in Gastonia, which was like a suburb of Charlotte kind of for a while. And then we both didn't work there anymore. So we were driving into Charlotte every day. My parents had put their house on the market and we were like, you know what? We love the neighborhood. Let's move on in. So bought the house from them and my daughter's in my old bedroom and my son is in my brother's old bedroom, which is different.
Oh.
So yeah, I always laugh and say I haven't gone really far.
Oh, you haven't. Well, so you were a Carolina girl, and I was not sure about that because I mean the book reads like someone who is from the area wrote it,
Right.
But I just wasn't sure where you were from. Okay, so sort of an add-on to that location. While we're talking about place, the town of Mountain View feels so vivid, quirky, warm, and real. But while I live in Greenville, and I'm pretty familiar with the upstate towns, so I'm thinking this town is a figment of your imagination. True or false? And if so, is it inspired by a particular place?
Is definitely fictional, but it's kind of just inspired by, honestly, the culmination of like the small town flavors that I've visited and I've loved. And also my husband grew up in a small town in West Virginia, and then we've had the pleasure of visiting a lot of small towns. And I always say I'm a small town girl at heart. So I love going to visit small towns and just seeing the unique flavors of each town. And so basically what I did with this book is I cherry picked things that I've loved in towns I've visited and created my own little town. But it's supposed to be between Charlotte and Greenville is where it's supposed to be located. I would say somewhere kind of near Gaffney, a little kind of closest to Gaffney, off the interstate a little bit. But yeah, somewhere around there.
Community. I mean, because this is tiny.
Tiny.
Yep. Business, right?
Yep, right.
So Hattie, your protagonist, is torn between her fast-paced life in Charlotte and her very small town roots in Mountain View. And so that, as we just said, that push and pull feels very authentic, and you've just explained why. And I think you've explained that how it comes from your personal experience as well. But since we're in Spartanburg today, and I live here, been here more than 50 years, you mentioned Spartanburg several times in the novel.
Mm-hmm.
So what made you choose Spartanburg?
Well, I think Spartanburg is a beautiful place. I visited there a bunch. I used to live in Greenville too, actually, for a time right out of grad school. And, first of all, I think of, Greenville's not quite, Spartanburg's not quite halfway between Charlotte and Greenville, but it's, in between us, Right. And I also thought about the fact that with Mountain View being so small, that would be the closest bigger town bigger city to where Mountain View is. So naturally, right. They're close to Charlotte, close to Greenville, but really they're biggest, successful city is Spartanburg. And so that's why it's mentioned more just because of proximity. But also because when they're thinking about development and thinking about kind of a successful place, successful cultural place, Spartanburg would be what I think Hattie envisions Mountain View could someday blossom into if it were to expand and all that.
Yes. We're proud of our culture here.
It's a good place.
So, Joy, what was the inspiration for the story? Where did this nugget for the story originally come from?
So I think I look back at, as authors, we tend to kind of write what we love, right? And so I started in historical fiction. We'll always write historical fiction. I love it. I love ancestry and have since I was a little kid, and I love history. But I've also always loved small town stories and romance, and I gravitate toward things that make me laugh and make me smile, and things that feel culturally rich to where I live, and also even in TV. So I look at shows, I gravitate toward shows like Schitt's Creek or Heart of Dixie or Gilmore Girls, things that where there's kind of some ridiculous stuff going on that makes you laugh, but at the same time you're very endeared to the characters and you love them and you fall in love with those characters. And then I always love romance. I write it no matter what kind of book, what genre I'm writing in. I'm always writing romance and weaving it in. But the seed of inspiration for this particular novel came about. I was actually on book tour for my book, The Grand Design, which is set in West Virginia at the Greenbrier. It's about Dorothy Draper, who is the interior designer of the Greenbrier and a Gilded Age heiress as well. And I was on book tour in West Virginia, and I got to see my family's originally from West Virginia. My parents are from Charleston, and my husband, of course, is from Beckley, West Virginia, which is southern West Virginia. And so I know that place like the back of my hand. The south central part of West Virginia has been a place I've gone to my entire life. But when I was on book tour, I got to go explore some other parts of West Virginia and visit some bookstores in other parts. So the Eastern Panhandle being one of them. And I got invited to come visit a bookstore in Wardensville, West Virginia, which is a really small town. It's about a population of about 200 people. Wow. And I was invited by this remarkable bookseller who owns other bookstores kind of around the area, some in Maryland and some other places. And she just was like, I think it'd be so much fun to have you come here and talk about the Grand Design and talk about West Virginia and the beauty that, what you love about the state. And I was like, yes, sounds great. So my mom and I set off on a little weekend tour. It wasn't part of my regular tour. It was later in the summer. And we go up and we're driving through places we've never seen before, but just beautiful country. And I get a call from the bookseller, and she tells me, she's like, hey, Joy, we're so excited for you to come tomorrow night. She's like, I am a little concerned just because there's a barn party that's been rescheduled for the same night. And I immediately told her, I was like, what's the barn party? You want to relocate there? I don't mind having the event at the barn party. We'll just take the books. And we were laughing about that. But anyway, I go up there. We have a great event. Her store is so lovely. I hope to visit again. It's called Wordplay Books. It's so cute. And so we have a great event. And then afterwards, my mom and I are getting ready to, call it a night. And she looks at me and she's like, we're going to find that barn party. So we get in her truck.
Yeah.
She's so much fun. She's a fun road trip buddy. My dad sometimes comes with me also. And so my mom and I get in her truck and we start driving down this 2-lane pitch black road. We have no idea where we're going. But we're like, we're just going to see if we can find it. So we just keep going. And finally, we see lights in the distance. And we're like, surely this is it. And there are just hundreds of cars parked all over this farm. And we get up to we try to park, and we get stopped by this guy. And he says, it's $20. And I don't know about y'all, and I should be better about this, but I don't keep cash anymore. When Taco Bell started taking debit cards back in college, I stopped carrying cash. So I count on my mom for that. A lot of times she didn't have it either. And so this guy who stopped us, I don't mean to generalize, but I don't think he was really in the market for reading about the Grand Design or the Greenbrier. But my mom was like, my daughter's on book tour. We have books in the back. I can pay you in book. And he very graciously was like, sure. So we gave him a book and we parked, and it was just the most remarkable event. It was a bluegrass band, really great bluegrass band in this huge old barn. And there are people all over the farm from all different walks of life. And we were looking at each other like, where did these people come from? Because there were just so many people. And of course, we didn't see any like larger towns. There were just a bunch of little towns all around. And at the end of the night, I looked at my mom and I was like, I just really wish I could do this every weekend. This was so much fun. And I don't know about you guys, but whenever I experience that kind of feeling, I'm like, I'm going to write a book about it, in some way or another.
I love it.
Because you just have to wait for you to spend time. Yeah.
That's great.
So that was kind of the inspiration for it. And so then I started thinking of, a girl who inadvertently stumbles into running like what the locals are calling the next Bluebird Cafe from her parents' historic barn. And so that's kind of where the idea started from.
That sounds like a lot of fun.
It
I mean,
does.
I would love to be at that event.
I know.
Now I want to find a barn party. I wonder if we have those
They're
around
saying
here.
it's a small town country version of Woodstock.
Mhm.
Right. Yeah.
Okay.
So, and this is sort of coming off of that, and you just mentioned about the designer and the Greenbrier, but Hattie, of course, is an event planner, and your scenes are very detailed. I mean, you obviously know a lot about event planning. So, one of the people who's in the book group, Tara Keegan, this is what she wants to know. Do you have personal experience in event planning, or did all that realism come from research?
Yes, so when I lived in Greenville, I was actually a PR and events director for the Cliffs Communities, which is a luxury golf community and property over there. And it was so much fun. We had we got to do these big events. We did the Gary Player Invitational, which was so much fun. And then before everything happened with Tiger Woods, we actually had planned this huge event to announce a golf course that he was building for the Cliffs. And so he was there at our event doing these helicopter tours around the property and stuff like that. So the Cliffs was just that was like, I think, the largest scale events I was a part of. But then after that, when I worked for the financial company, I did a lot of, client events and things like that. I was kind of like PR, marketing, advertising, events all in one person. And so got to do a lot of event planning that way too. So I knew how bad it would be if all the food gets left out for a big event. That's like a travesty. So, that was good to have that experience for her job.
So Kathy Oswalt wondered the same, especially about the barns and event venues in the book. Did you do a lot of on-the-ground research? And you've already answered this, I believe. And while we're at it, Kathy's dying to know, will that stadium ever actually be built?
Did you guys hear about that? That they actually were talking about moving the stadium at one point to somewhere in South Carolina. So, it's interesting being here in Charlotte. We have the Charlotte Hornets, we have the Charlotte Knights, but then we have the Carolina Panthers. And they very intentionally, in my opinion, did that to bridge both Carolinas and make the Panthers kind of a multi-state team. And so they definitely were planning on moving their training facilities to Rock Hill. That was something that was definitely in the works, but there had been talk in the past about moving it kind of in the middle between Charlotte and another major South Carolina city. And so I was thinking that, when I was planning this book, I was like, Greenville would be a place that I imagine, the Panthers organization would love to attract more people from around that area.
Now, I don't follow professional football at all, so I don't know anything about it, but somewhere in the back of my mind, I thought there was some kind of Carolina Panther training.
Well, the training ground was at Wofford. Okay. I don't know if it's still there, but it was there for a good while.
Okay.
Yeah. So I just thought, me coming from historical fiction too, it was writing, when I started writing this book, I was like, obviously I'm writing a romance, but I think it's really compelling, to add in part of the fun of writing these kind of books is figuring out what's going on in the community and the struggles, not only that the main character's facing, but the struggles that the community's facing, and then how our main characters interact with what's going on there, but also in their personal lives. And so it was a fun thing to consider and think about, because I thought it was kind of realistic. And you're talking about some of the venues. I mean, I will say that the hardware store in the book is based on a very real hardware store called Renfro Hardware, which is in Matthews, North Carolina. And it's that old timey kind of hardware store where you walk in and if you have a question about a plant, you have a question about chickens, you got a question about how to fix something, somebody in there is gonna help you because they know their stuff. And so I have vivid memories of going when I was a little kid. My mom's a big gardener. We'd go in and check out some bulbs every basically pretty much every change of season. She'd be going in there looking for new plants and things like that. So and I just vividly remember her being just completely welcomed into this community that we didn't even live in, because the minute you walked into that hardware store, you were part of the family, basically. And so I knew when I started writing the book, I was like, well, that's going to be the heartbeat of the town, really, is going to be the hardware store. And so definitely based that on a real place, too.
And I can see that visual, and you did a really good job. I'm going off script here, but you did a really good job in several places, bringing visuals, very deftly to mind. And one thing that sort of sticks in my mind is when you introduce Fox and you say, he looks like one of those Yellowstone cowboys. Bingo. I've got what's his name? Beth's husband, Rip. Him in my head now. That's who Fox is in my head. So I have now cast that actor in this role. You did a really good job of that sort of thing, I thought.
Oh, thank you.
Is it my turn?
I think it's mine.
Okay, go ahead.
So another kind of character is setting. The peanut farm, is very vividly detailed, and of course, it makes us think about legacy and change and what we hold on to and what we can't hold on to. And I think that conflict that you have going between the encroachment of progress and the stability that tradition gives us is a really effective theme in the novel. So how did you approach the writing of that sense of what really is home?
Mm-hmm. Yeah, and I think that we learn that over time, right? It's I think that when we go on journeys with characters, it is best to look at our own lives and kind of examine our own journeys in some ways, or the journeys of people we love, to kind of see how to portray the characters in the right way as we're kind of journeying on their life with them. And for her, I thought back to when I was a younger woman and I was in my mid 20s and trying to find my way, I guess, and trying to figure out. I remember lots of conversations my husband and I had about, hey, should we go somewhere else? Should we stay here? Should we try something different? And you're trying to find your place and you're trying to find your way to ultimately where is the truest place for you, and what is the place that makes you feel like you're most connected and most at home. And we kept coming back to the fact that there's lots of other places we would live. Personally, we love West Virginia. We would live up there. We think it's great. But all of our family is here. And I live within about 5 minutes of my family. My brother-in-law and my sister-in-law live here too. They're from West Virginia originally, and they live in Charlotte. And so it ended up being about family and about the fact that we've lived here for a long time. We have friendships. We have people that know us. We have people that care for us. And I think sometimes when we can chase our dreams and our aspirations when it comes to our business aspirations and our goals in life. But ultimately, in my opinion, what draws us to home are the relationships and the love. And so, and not to discount goals and dreams, because those matter immensely, but those are also the people that are cheering you on and are fostering, when you're having a low moment and you don't think you can accomplish something you're really wanting to accomplish, those are the people who are going to push you forward and kind of out of that hole. So I guess I think of when I was writing her journey, it was all about, making sure that I was realistic in the way that it comes off in real life, which is trying to figure out where you belong. And usually that means being around the people that love you most. So.
That's right. That's what comes through, is in the end, what matters is relationship.
Mm-hmm. Okay. Stephanie Brown from our Facebook group said she loved this book, especially all its twists and turns, and wanted to know, is this the first in a series? She's hoping for a sequel. Me too.
Well, I would love to. We pitched some ideas to my editor, and she loved the idea of me writing Dolly's story next, which would be really fun, I think, to write. But we'll see. I'm currently writing a historical novel, and I told my agent, I said, I can't write my proposal chapters until I am out of the historical headspace, because it would be too different. So I'm hoping for that. I had so much fun in this world, and it was just, as I'm coming from the historical genre. And so it's wonderful, and I absolutely love it, and I will always write it. But when I just had a blast with this one. I had a blast making up the town. I had a blast making up my characters. And with historicals, you kind of feel this pressure we feel pressure no matter what. So writing in general comes with pressure. But with historical, there's this sense of, oh, I got to get this right. Like I got to tell this story correctly. I have to make sure I'm honoring the people that came before me that I'm telling the story about. And with this book, I told my agent, I was like, this is probably one of the most fun I've ever had writing, because it was this thing where I got to craft a town that I wanted to live in. And I got to craft characters that were completely fictional, but that I absolutely love. And I laughed so hard, I cried writing this book. And there's one scene where every time I read it, I still crack up. And that was just a gift to me. And so I thought to myself, I was like, if I can live in this world for longer, I would absolutely love to. So I'm really hoping I get to write a sequel. I think that'd be a blast.
I hope so too. And I think, you certainly, I mean, I hear you say that, and I'm like, well, why couldn't you? I mean, you must write
the author.
You're the author. This is your
the
world.
captain.
Captain of the ship. Exactly. Write the book. Your readers want the sequel. Actually, probably several of them. So,
I'd love to. I know. I think and there's so many colorful characters. I think that's the great thing, isn't it, about writing characters that people love and want to root for, or that they think are interesting, is there's so many angles to go with, and so many ways to tell more stories set in a place that we really like.
And you do a pretty good twist on the on the love story, right? Of boy gets girl, boy loses girl, boy gets girl, or does he? So you've done a really good twist on that typical motif, if you will, or plot line. So it kept me wondering. Now, Diana McGoldrick has two great questions related to that. First, did you know from the start who Hattie would end up with? Or did that evolve, or did you change it back and forth?
So funny thing, normally I do know what's going to happen. And then I really was unsure for a while, because with this book too, normally when you have a love triangle, there's somebody who's like the clear loser. You're like, we don't like this guy, get him out of here,
Yeah.
With this particular one, I was like, I want to present her with two good options, because that's really real life sometimes. Sometimes you got people you're dating and you're like, well, this guy's a really nice guy and this guy's a really nice guy, but it depends on where your heart goes, And so I wanted to kind of present that a little differently, where there were two good choices, but it was funny. I told my agent at one point, I was like, can this be a choose your own ending? Can they have both? But it's funny. I definitely think that this is spoiler. I can say spoilers, right? And this,
that's right.
Okay. So, Fox is obviously who she ends up with. And I think that I knew from the beginning that he just seemed like somebody who was just his personality to me was somebody who I was like, yeah, that's who she needs. Like he's somebody who's fun and like funny, but also a pillar of the community, and someone who is a steadfast type of guy. And so I was really, I just thought that ultimately that was the right pick. But it's funny, my audiobook narrator is like so team Lee. She so wanted Lee to be the guy. And so, yeah, I think it was hard, but I love writing love triangles. I know they're not, some people don't like them, but I absolutely love writing them, just because it's just fun, first of all. And also leaves people kind of guessing and wondering what's going to happen next, or who she is going to end up with. And in this book, like I said, it was hard for me to decide because they were two good choices. So yeah, but it's been interesting to see how many people are so like diehard Team Fox or Team Lee, and yeah.
Which is what you're getting ready to ask about.
Yes,
Yeah.
yep. So that was actually Diana's follow-up. How do you envision the dynamic moving forward between Hattie, Lee, and Fox? If you write that sequel, if Lee comes home again someday, do they move past the awkwardness, stay friends? Are there any hard feelings?
I don't know. I mean, it'll be interesting. It'll be interesting to kind of see that because I really don't know how it'll play out. And that's what I was actually telling my audiobook narrator. I was like, I don't know. I think in my head, you know, when I ended it, I was like, this is her happily ever after. This is so great. Mm-hmm. But, you know, I haven't written their lives after that. I don't know what happens. So I think it'll be interesting. I definitely believe that there's someone for everyone. So I love Lee. I love writing him. So if it's not Hattie, it'll be somebody great. So, I mean, I think that I would like to give all of my characters kind of like their happy ending for sure. Exactly. So we'll see. Yeah.
And you could have so many more books that way in this series.
That's right.
They could all have a happy ending. And I love the idea of doing Dolly's story. That would be a lot of fun.
She's so funny. I loved her character. So I was like, I got it. She's kind of a wild, like a spitfire. And I love that.
Well, changing gears just a second, Niels Behringer, who is in our group, she wonders, are you musical yourself? Because there is such a lot of wonderful music in the novel. And then follow that with, she wonders if you could trade places with a singer for a day, who might that be? And would there be a song that you would sing? And that kind of puts you on the spot a little, but do you have a music background, Joy?
Yes. So what's really interesting is, I don't know if you guys know this, I actually had 2 books out this summer, and one was a historical book called The Star of Camp Green, and the other one, Singing Home to Carolina, and they came out a month apart. Sorry. One was May, Star of Camp Green was May, Singing Home to Carolina was June. And they both have musical components, very strong musical components. And I thought to myself, what in the world? Like, I didn't really plan this, it's just like what happened, what the stories that came to me. But yes, I mean, I grew up playing the violin and the piano and singing. And I sang in choirs, still do at my church sometimes, but I sang in choirs up through college. And then I played violin up through 12th grade in high school, and piano too. And so I think music was just such an important part of our lives growing up. My parents would always take us to see the symphony and also to concerts. So we had a very eclectic taste in music. Sometimes we'd listen to classical, sometimes it'd be country, sometimes it would be, 40s music, sometimes it would be, rock. We just got exposed to everything. And so I think I have a great appreciation for just how music brings people together and just how it's just such a universal language. And I think that's really neat.
Well, you can think on whether there's a singer you would
yes.
play for a day. And if you just think on it, and then you can come back to it if you want to.
Well, I think contemporary today, I think that she's new to country, but I think Ella Langley is super cute and so fun.
I love her.
That'd be fun. Yeah.
Her, yes.
She's so fun.
I love her music and just there's something about her. She's sassy, or some. I just really love her music, and her voice is so unique.
It is. It's got that rasp to it that I really like. And I also think it'd be really fun to, for instance, switch places with someone like a Rosemary Clooney, like back in the day, to see how it would be to do music back kind of more in a more classic time. To see the difference there. So one of those two would be really fun.
You should have Ella do a walk-on at the next barn party during Dolly's story.
I know, that would be fun, wouldn't it?
Well, this book is so up my alley in terms of what I normally gravitate toward to read. And so obviously I'm thinking of, the stories I would like to see next and the plots I'd like to see next. And when she said Ella, I'm like, I can just see her in that barn party environment. So
she'd be fun. That'd be really fun. Actually, I think she'd get along with Dolly and Hattie really well. So she can become friends with them.
Okay, so Pat Dupuy noticed that there are only 4 businesses still open on Main Street. She asked, do you think those Friday night music events could really change things for Mountain View? Can something like that breathe new life into a fading town? Well, of course it can. This is fiction, Pat. So I'm going to answer now.
I think that it's also like, if you think about it, tourism's huge. And so I think that was at the forefront of my mind because, as I said, my family's from West Virginia. West Virginia's economy, it's hard. There's it's gone through a lot of change over the years. And so West Virginia's main, thing that they're trying to do now is tourism because it's so beautiful. It's like the Asheville area, with the mountains and the natural beauty. And so they're really leaning into tourism. And so I was thinking as I was writing this book, I was like, yeah, tourism can do amazing things. You start to bring people in. You think about Nashville and how many people flock there to hear live music. So I think it could really actually definitely revitalize Mountain View and bring some new life, authentic new life to Mountain View. Because I think once people start coming, and they've had huge acts on that stage now, so they're gonna
a few more businesses to stay afloat.
Yep, you got another restaurant in there, not just the Paradise by the Dashboard Light Diner.
Yes.
Maybe a for real donut shop. Maybe Tammy could open one of those instead of doing the donuts out of her barber shop. So
yep. Airbnb. Yeah.
Yep. Actually, that was one of the ideas I pitched to my editor, was an idea of it'd be a continuation of Hattie's story, but that she and Fox open in a hotel basically downtown and start to attract some of the Nashville songwriters and musicians and things like that.
All right.
I like that idea.
Yeah.
Pat had one more question, and this is complete different change of topic, but do you think eminent domain is ever morally right when it's used for entertainment or commercial projects? And then after that, she wants to know what on earth is in that blue hooch. Helen Sue.
Okay, so eminent domain. I think that's so tricky. I had a friend, one of my best friends growing up, her grandparents had a farm out toward Albemarle area, or out toward Lake Tillery. And their farm got seized by eminent domain. And it was hard because that was their family's place. And I understand, you look at, okay, well, this is going to benefit hundreds of thousands of people. And then there's this one person, one family that is going to lose everything. And I can't speak to that because I honestly have never been personally affected by it. But I would say it's just hard on all fronts because you're looking at someone's home, sometimes someone's livelihood, and then they're having to uproot. And sometimes people don't think, okay, well, let's talk about farming, because that's what's talked about in the book. When you take somebody's farm, for instance, well, if that's been their profession and that's been what they do, and if the funds provided don't allow you to pick up and restart, then you're looking at a whole new life. And I can't imagine having to be faced with that. So I think that would be really tricky. But then I also understand that, highways have to be expanded and new buildings have to be built and progress has to keep going. So that was the thing about writing this book, was that I could see both sides. And I hope I kind of articulated that well, that, Hattie wasn't a villain when she came in and said, hey, I think the stadium's a good idea, because she wanted her town to ultimately progress and survive. But at the same time, when she realizes it's going to affect her family's farm, then suddenly she's like, oh, now I feel what everybody else has been feeling. And that's a way that she kind of starts to say, I can't speak for them. I can only speak for me and how I'm feeling. And maybe there is another way. So I don't know. I mean, like I said, I think it's a really tough subject, and I think it's a hard thing.
And it's a good subject to broach because there is no easy answer.
No, there's no easy answer. And I don't think there's a right answer. I think in some cases sometimes it's clear that there could have been a different way and it could have spared people's properties and livelihoods. But then I think historically too, because I was just in New York and I'm thinking about Central Park. And when Central Park was built, it was supposed to be the people's park. Of course, that wasn't the case. It was kind of like a promenade for the Gilded Age elite. but they also raised an immigrant and Black community to make way for Central Park, and displaced all those people. And it was one of those situations where, like, the park is lovely, and the park was built so that people could have fresh air and things like that in a city that had a lot of factories and things. Granted, Central Park wasn't in the factory district, but I think that those kind of things are shames, when that kind of thing happens, and when people are displaced from their homes, no matter what. So it's a toss up. It's very, very hard to figure out, what the right thing is. But it was a fun and difficult thing to explore in this book also, because it made for good plotting.
Yes. Yes.
Yeah, I don't know what's in the blue beverage that I need to get back. I can't remember what's in there. What's that?
You concoct something, Joy.
I know, moonshine. I think, who knows what she put in there. She was blending it up in the blender, though.
I have to say, I don't drink blue things anymore because of a bad experience with some blue curacao one New Year's Eve. I don't drink anything blue. It's a rule. It's just a rule.
I love it. Are you going to tell me
that story? Change it to like green or yellow or something.
That's okay. I can drink something else. I mean, I think it's a fun visual, and it's a fun thing to have, a fun story element. Okay, so Barb Mobley was wondering. She noticed that you mentioned a lot of real products and locations in your books, and she said, "Oh, excuse me, but I did not personally know this, but the English teacher told me, so she's given me an education on this. Apparently, this product placement, novelist Bobby Ann Mason popularized this practice of adding brand names and pop culture in her literary fiction in the 1980s and influenced other authors. Critics dubbed the practice as Kmart realism." I don't know if you knew that or not. I did not. I have been educated today. I did not read a lot of literary fiction in the 80s. That was not my literary phase. Actually, I'm not sure I've ever had a literary phase. Let me think. I do read literary novels occasionally. Rarely. Okay. There's nothing wrong with literary novels. No. To each their own. Mm-hmm. Anyway, Kmart realism. So the question Barb asked is, do you, and I do know the answer to this, but do authors ever get rewarded for that kind of product placement, or do you just do it to add realism?
If only we got.
Yeah, if only.
I'd be fine with that. Cheer wine. If you would like to send me bottles of cheer wine, yes, I'll take them.
I use cheer wine all the time. I could use a truckload of that.
Oh yeah, I know. I think we need to get sponsored. But no, I mean, yeah, we don't. It's just a way to add color to a book, and I think about that a lot when I write historicals too. It's adding in, the color of it's a way to like fully immerse you in that world, because of course certain brands say Southern, and
exactly.
Yeah,
I do the same thing, and I've always thought that the brands sort of root you in that reality, because everybody uses and sometimes talks in name brands,
That's
because
right.
they're common.
Kmart realism.
Exactly.
Yeah, because it'd be unrealistic otherwise. Think about it. If we're walking down the street and we pop into a grocery store or pop into a gas station, we're like, oh, we want to get we wouldn't just make up a brand of soda. We'd say, yeah, we want to get a Coke. We want to get a cheer wine. Well, around here, everybody says Coke for everything. So
yeah,
the critics of Kmart realism, though, said, back in the day when this was first really becoming a phenomenon, it was 100 years down the road. If somebody's reading your novel, they may not know what cheer wine is, but I don't agree with those critics, because I think it's a wonderful thing to add the brand names and things. But that was the pushback from it.
Yes, that's interesting actually to think about, because you think about people like Edith Wharton, for instance, who were writing in the Gilded Age, and you think, I don't remember. I'd have to go back and read Age of Innocence or something, but I don't remember that ever being a thing, But then again, there was so much less commercialization. I mean, there were obviously brand names and stuff, but
I think 100 years from now, that's still going to be an authentic thing of the period,
That's right. People can do their research.
Exactly.
Well, our books are going to be historical fiction then, all of them anyway. So.
Exactly. Yeah.
And that's what you're looking for when you write historical fiction. You're going back to find those.
In 100 years of really authentic historical
That's
novel.
right. That's
there
right.
you go.
Yes. Now, the next question I had was about music, and I think we've sort of covered that, and you've answered that beautifully. So, Susan, I think I'm going to let you move on to your next question.
All right. Talking about music brings us to
Yeah,
the
yeah,
title,
it is. That is part of the
Sing,
music.
Sing Me Home to Carolina, which is just lovely. Can you tell us how that title came about and what Carolina means to you personally?
Sure. So, funny enough, my editor came up with the title. It was untitled for a while. You guys know this. It's a cumulative effort. Titles are usually, and it's always crazy. Sometimes I've had situations where I'm like, no, we need a different title. And so we've come up with like a zillion. But my editor said that she pulled this. We knew that we wanted to incorporate Carolina into the title somewhere, because writing a romance set in the South, we wanted to make sure that people, when they saw it, they were like, oh, this is a Southern romance, a Southern book. And so, especially Carolina, because there's so many different flavors of the South too. And this is definitely a Carolina book. And so we knew that, and we were kind of brainstorming, and my editor said, oh, so one of Ronald Robinson in the book, like one of his songs is Sing Me Home to Carolina, and that's the title. And so she pulled it from one of his song titles. And so there's a mix in my book of real songs, and of course we can't use really lyrics to real songs. So of course that presents a problem, and I had to write my own songs, which I'm not a songwriter, clearly. But I did listen to a lot of different flavors of country and stuff like that. And also then listened back to, Nat King Cole and Bing Crosby and people like that, and tried to, because of course over time music changes, try to figure out what kind of lyrics and what kind of songs I wanted to write in the book. And then because Fox and Lee actually have different flavors of country music that they sing, I see Lee as more of like a Florida Georgia line type of country, and I see Fox as more of a has a folky twist, sort of like an Avett Brothers, Charles Wesley Godwin type of country. And so then Ronald Robinson was Nat King Cole's guitar player, so Nat King Cole type of classic, oldies type of music. And it was great to try to write those. So some of those song titles, my editor was pulling out as like possible titles, and just, Sing Me Home to Carolina was the one that she was like, I think this is the right fit, because it ties into like her whole search for home too. And then what does Carolina mean to me? I mean, it's my home. It's been my home forever. It's a place where I was just talking about this. I think like we're known for our hospitality in the South, but especially in North Carolina and South Carolina. And just known we're a great place to live. I had one of my former agents actually asked me, she said, do you think you'll always live in the South? Do you think you'll always live in the Carolinas? And I was like, yeah, where else why would I want to leave?
Where
I've lived my whole life here.
Me too.
Yeah.
And it's funny, side note, I guess at some point, but someone asked me a similar question, and I was making a similar answer. And the thing is, I've always seen myself as a Carolina girl, because I'm from the Carolinas. I grew up in North Carolina. I live in South Carolina. Mm-hmm. And I wasn't thinking about that song, Carolina Girls. Yeah. I wasn't thinking about that.
Oh, yeah.
I'm a Carolina girl. And I think somebody thought I was maybe a little too big for my britches. I got a sarcastic note on Facebook about a woman referring to herself as a Carolina girl was awfully funny, or something like that. For somebody from North Carolina referring to herself as a Carolina. And I thought, what does she mean by that? And then I remembered that song, and then I'm like, okay.
Still.
Yeah, I'm like, okay, maybe I shouldn't have said that exactly. I'm really not I'm fairly humble.
No,
I wouldn't think you mean that. I say that all the time.
You are a Carolina
I'm
girl.
definitely not too big for my britches.
We all are.
Yeah. Yep. Anyway, all of that to say, I agree with you 100%. And Carol, I don't think I could live anywhere else other than the Carolinas.
At this point in my life, I don't believe it's likely that I will.
No, me either.
All right. Well, we'll switch gears. We're going to draw this to a close pretty soon now, but tell us just a little bit about your writing process. Do you plan carefully? I mean, obviously, we were talking about the twist of the two Hattie's two men. So to some extent, we know you're letting that happen organically, but just a brief overview of your writing process.
Well, funny enough, I'm a plotter. So that the idea that I didn't know who she was going to end up with was unusual for me.
Okay.
But I got my first book deal when my daughter was 4 months old. And so the reason I'm a plotter is because I had my son 21 months after that. And I had 2 babies and a book deal. And I was like, yikes, when am I going to write? And so I ended up somehow syncing their naps up where I had like an hour and a half, maybe like in the afternoon. So if I was pants-sting my novel and just flying by the seat of my pants, I would never have gotten a book done because I would have run down the stairs and sat at my computer and stared at the document for an hour before I figured out what I was going to do. So I knew pretty early on that I had to plot. And so I plot out my books, but I don't do it. It's not like some huge ordeal. I just get a notebook and I say, okay, we start here. And then I just kind of think to myself, like, what comes next until the end? And it's usually a legal pad or just a notebook or something. I handwrite that. And then I just, start writing. And now that my kids are in school, I have a 6th grader and a 5th grader. And, I got a lot of time throughout the day now. I feel like, coming from when they were babies at home and then preschool I had 2 hours a day, and now I have a lot more time. So my process has changed, and I just kind of, sit down and write every day until I feel like I have run out of steam. And being a plotter, I think it's good for me too, because I don't love revisions. Some people just do you guys love revisions? I don't know.
Yeah.
I absolutely hate them. Feels like surgery.
And they confuse me sometimes because it's like I get off track, I feel like you move something this far down in the story, you're going to mess up something further back that you don't catch, or it just doesn't lay the way you. Right. It's like altering a dress,
Well, especially for you with mystery.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm. Now I don't love revision, but I do a lot of it. It's a necessary. I won't call it an evil because I do a lot of rewriting. But anyway, I kind of plot stuff out too, so who knows?
So I think we're going to have to skip a couple questions because we have gotten, and it's probably all my fault. I'm bad to get off track. I told y'all, but we've been talking for a while.
Getting off track is good.
Yeah.
I'm a chatter. That's what it is too. I like to talk.
Yeah, exactly. We all like to talk. But anyway, I'm going to ask the last question. What is next for you, Joy? Are we staying in Carolina for another story or heading somewhere new? You touched on this earlier, but just tell us, if you would, when the next book is, and if it's the sequel we're asking for.
Yes. So hopefully I'm going to write my sample chapters and send them in to my editor as soon as I'm done with my historical novel that's due in the spring. And hopefully that'll then get rolling and come out soon. I'm really excited about hopefully writing Dolly's story. I think that'd be really fun. And then I have a historical novel coming out that'll probably be in spring 27, I'm guessing. And it's a little unique and different. It's set partially in a small town in West Virginia, and then mostly though in Hollywood. It's about a single mom in the 50s, and she has twins that are 8, and she's a teacher. And during the summer, she works at the local drive-in. And so when you first meet her, she's opening the drive-in for the summer. And 8 years prior, she won a lookalike contest for the most world-renowned star. So it'd probably be like a Marilyn Monroe, Grace Kelly type of actress. And she met her and won the contest on the worst day of her life. And it was also the actress's worst day of her life too. And so they have this prize dinner for the winner. And so the actress and my main character get to have dinner, and they commiserate over kind of their misfortune. And so then life moves on, and my main character has her twins, and things start to look up for her. But when you first meet her, she's fallen again on another patch of hardship. And so she's opening the drive-in for the first time, and she sees that the actress, who has not been on a press tour since the lookalike contest marked the end of her last one, has decided she's coming back out on tour. She's done some movies, but she's been pretty reclusive otherwise. And so my main character thinks, well, maybe since she's coming out on press tour and I'm having this hard time like I had before, maybe this means that it's something good is around the corner for me. Well, the next day she gets a knock on her door, and it is the manager of the actress who tells her that the actress has passed away. And she's written this film, and this film's a big blockbuster. And so they are worried about, first of all, the legacy of the actress that she has written. This is her first movie she's ever written, and she won't get to, promote it, and maybe the sales will be bad, and maybe it'll fly under the rug if she doesn't, if something doesn't happen. And then also the studio is going to be out millions of dollars. And so they talk the lookalike into impersonating her on tour. Okay. So it's a lot about stepping into, when you step into somebody else's shoes, do you become more yourself, or do you lose yourself? So, yeah. So it'll be fun. Most of the time when doppelgangers are in the picture, it's something ominous, but this is just a little different, a little twist on that.
That sounds fun. Now, what's the title?
I have no idea.
Don't make it Freaky Friday.
Yeah. It will change.
We'll look for that in, you said spring of 27?
Something, I'm sure it'll be around then. Yes.
All right. Well, let us know, and we'll pass it on to everyone in the Lowcountry Book Club.
Well, it has meant so much to me, you all, that you guys picked Sing Me Home to Carolina. I've just been over the moon since I heard, and it just meant so much, especially, it's a little nerve-wracking publishing in a new genre. And so I just really appreciate your support. And from some of the authors, you guys, I admire you so much as authors too. So I just really appreciate it.
We've enjoyed getting to meet you, and
This has been so much fun.
Get some background. And for those of you who, you've read the book probably, but here's this pretty cover with the barn on the front.
Thank you so much. This has been so much fun. It's been great getting to know you, and I hope to have you back in the future.
That's right.
To discuss another book, hopefully one in the same series, because we all want the sequel or a few of them.
Yes, I would love it. And hopefully I'll meet y'all in person one day. We're too close together not to.
Yeah, exactly. We'll have to make that
Make it happen.
All right. Take care, Joy. Thanks so much.
Thank you so much. Bye.
Bye, everybody.